what is your perspective on credit cards? I know Dave Ramsey is totally against them in all, at all times, whether you're out of debt or not. I guess I tend to believe that just because I know in our experience, we were spending probably 12 to 15% more when we were using a credit card versus doing debit, just because you can add, one more thing to your cart and that $10 to $20 every time adds up and you don't even realize it. So it's just been like life-changing for me to stop using credit altogether. But I'd love to know your take on that, because I know people see the polarizing reels of Dave Ramsey, who is like, no credit cards ever, ever. And I just would love to know what your thoughts on credit cards are.
Sure. Yeah, we actually did a podcast episode on this and we got a lot of flack and a lot of heat from it. So how we approach it, we were breaking down, like, what would the church's stance be? Is this something that can be a product that a Catholic could have and utilize prudently and responsibly with virtue? And the answer to that question is yes, but we had a ton of caveats, right, in the way. And so, like you said, you oftentimes overspend when you have a credit card. Just the sheer fact of it feels a little bit removed, and then the bill doesn't really I don't even think about this until a month later, 6 weeks later. I'm now sitting here and I see this Costco trip for $575, and like, I couldn't even tell you what it was anymore. Yep. So it takes this distance, and that's not a good thing for our money. We need to feel our money, touch our money, see our money. And there's brief studies. I think that the credit card companies have a vested interest in a lot of studies not being revealed or seeing the light of day. Yep. But the few studies that have been done show that some people have paid up to 50 to 100% more on a purchase if it went on a credit card versus a debit card. Wow. So I do want people to be aware that when I talk about could a credit card be useful for somebody, if you are somebody that is currently in debt and is paying interest on a credit card, the answer is 100% no. Credit cards are not for you. You need to be done. You need to close them all, freeze them, cancel them, and you need to get different wiring in your brain before you can even entertain this as a possible option down the road. So I'm assuming that's happened, for many years. I think for the first 8 or 9 years of our marriage, yeah, that was us. We just, because we were paying interest on a card early on, we didn't want anything to do with them. We were done. Then eventually we did get a card. And we were kind of experimenting, is this something that is useful? Are you going to overpay, etc.? And so we don't put a lot on the card, but what we realized is that as long as you are putting only budgeted for expenses on the card, and then you're paying it off immediately, even before the payment date. So it's literally just a tool. It's where you're, putting money through for a day or two, and then you're still feeling it. That is fine. But I did notice there was still some we still paid a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And so we had to ask ourselves, is this really worth the 1% cash back? Is this really worth the credit card or the airline miles or whatever it was? Mm-hmm. And the answer was pretty much no, unless there was a really special circumstance. So it's not really a strategy that I encourage people to use. I don't think it's going to be the deal breaker it's not going to be the thing in your life that makes the biggest difference. But some people have fun. It's kind of their hobby to travel hack and to do all these things. And for those people, as long as they're aware they're probably overspending, they are paying it off. They're only putting budgeted for things on it. They're paying it off immediately. If that's a hobby that they want to spend time sitting around organizing, it can be done responsibly and prudently. I've seen it done well, but it's going to be a very small fraction of people that are really that type A, kind of hyper, super organized, kind of nerdy people, if you will, they live in spreadsheets. They love data. They like tracking stuff like this. That's almost nobody I know.
Yes.
So just be aware of that it's probably not for you. You're going to see some influencer on TikTok telling you about how they flew to Greece for free, and you're going to want to do the same thing. But They're not telling you all the behind the scenes things. They're not telling you the 25 hours it took to organize and manage it. And for most people, if they just spent 25 hours on a side hustle or at work,
Oh,
they
yeah.
would have made more and they could have just paid for the dang ticket. So
Yep.
you just always have to be aware the time that you're putting in is not free. The time you're putting in counts against the benefits that you're even getting. And then there is the not insignificant issue that a decent bit of these rewards that are handed out, some of them are funded just by, people swipe the card and then the merchant fee goes to Visa or to Amex. But a portion of it came from somebody else who couldn't pay their card off. So there's also that moral conundrum of, I'm not directly causing that, but I am now indirectly benefiting from it. It's a layer removed, so it's not like you need to take it to confession, but for some more sensitive consciences, that's going to be an automatic no.
Yep. Yeah, I'm so glad. I completely agree with everything you said. I'm glad you brought up that last part because I didn't even realize that. Like, I don't know where I thought, the benefits were coming from. But as soon as I realized, oh my gosh, it's the fees for people who can't even pay off their card that they're giving out as points. Of course, they're not going to like just give you free money. They're gonna be profitable, of course. I'm like, that just feels wrong. I feel like I'm stealing from someone who's poor, and like, not that like you said, it's a layer removed, but why would I do that? Like, why would I play that game? That just seems wrong to me. And then the other thing, like you said, people are like, well, the cash back, but well, even if you're getting 5% cash back, which I don't even know if I've ever seen a credit card do 5% cash back, but let's just say you are. Almost all of the studies show that people statistically spend 12 to 18% more, like you said, on a credit card. I know you experienced that. I experienced that. Once you cut it out, you're like, wow, I really do spend more. And so, like, 12 minus 5, you're still spending 7% more than you would on debit or something like that. So I'm glad you addressed that because I think a lot of people think, oh, it's worth it for the benefits. But like you said, it's just a really, really, you'd have to be super precise with exactly how you're playing that game to really actually benefit from it and not actually spend more. So I really love that you addressed all of that.